So does anyone remember Perez Hilton? Like when he first started, he was this outsider guy, just, some normal guy who wanted to do celebrity news. And then eventually, as he got bigger and bigger, he started to become the news. I lost interest. I mean, I wasn't really that interested in Perez to begin with, but, the outsider perspective was kind of nice. And then as he got more and more inside, I lost interest because, he was talking about these celebrities, and eventually he began to know the celebrities and become friends with the celebrities. So he lost his outsider status. And then it seemed like he lost his neutrality, either perceived or he actually did. I mean, I didn't follow him close enough, but I'm sure as he developed friendships with people, he was losing his impartiality. And, as with someone becoming more popular or famous, it kind of goes to your head and stuff. And so he wasn't relatable anymore. So I feel like that seems to be, and I don't mean I'm not trying to insult anyone, but I feel like that seems to be the same trajectory in the beef sector. I feel like neutrality is admired, but it doesn't last. And the further along you get in the beef sector, or probably any sector on YouTube, really, you lose that outsider status. You lose that neutrality. I mean, no one tries, or it seems like most people don't try to get into beef. It seems like beef finds them. Like I said in the other video, everyone seems to be responding to beef. Where the source of the beef comes from, I'm not entirely sure, because everyone's responding to beef, and yet beef, you have all these people who don't start it, and yet it's always getting started, but that's a different subject. But like I feel like a lot of people enter into this thinking, well, I'm going to be neutral, and I don't have, I don't have any leanings. I'm not, or at least I'm not going to display them. I'm not going to take sides. I'm just sort of going to comment on things. But like, you get into it. I mean, nobody enters, like one of my favorite drag queens said, nobody starts taking drugs thinking they're going to have a problem. No one seems to enter the beef sector, even though it's called the beef sector. No one enters the beef sector thinking there's going to be beef or they're going to be involved in beef. I know I'm not. And I mean, famous last words right there. Everyone starts out sort of innocently, and maybe I'm being very naive thinking that I can just comment about stuff. I feel like I comment. I feel like I'm just sort of comment, or what I like to do with a lot of things is take the lesson out of it, sort of, extract the nugget of truth. And, I find like you can learn from anything in any place. And so I like to think that I'm sort of examining, the beef sector as a whole. I don't really want to talk about anyone in particular, but, just notice the trends and things. But yeah, I'd say most people don't plan on getting beef, just like they don't plan on getting hooked on drugs. Or do they? I don't know. Maybe some people, that's their plan all along. And those are probably the smart people who think, okay, I'm entering into the beef sector. There will be beef incoming. Can you really be successful in this sector without beef? Can you grow to a certain, can you get to a certain level without having any like rivalry with anyone? In other words, it's lucrative to have a beef with someone, so it makes sense to start beef for dollars. So can you reach a certain height of success without starting beefs? And can you reach a certain height of success without a beef coming for you? Because once you get, big enough, you become a target. So beef is coming for you, unless you fly under the radar, which is, what I'd like to do, honestly. And the news people, and I don't mean to call them out or anything, but I think the news people find themselves in kind of an odd position because just like Perez Hilton, I think they start wanting to be neutral. They just want to report the news. And I think for the most part, they're successful for a certain amount of time. And honestly, I come to depend on the beef sector news people because I don't have time to watch everybody and everything. And it's, it's nice to have it sort of explained to you or sort of outlined in digest form what's going on. But, after a while, they tend to lose their neutrality because eventually they become the story. I mean, is it possible to be a news person without being the story? But that's when I tend to lose interest in people, is when they become the story. And also, I sort of lose interest in people when they start to care. When they lose their neutrality, that's often because they start to care and things start getting personal for them. And I'm not blaming them for things getting personal, because if people come for you, I mean, how could you not take it personally if they're, literally insulting you, your life, your family, etc., who you are? I don't blame people for wanting to respond. But like I said, I don't want... I keep saying that, and I feel like I'm going to put that out in the universe if I keep saying so much that I don't want beef. Beef is a-coming now that I've said it. But yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing. When people start caring, it annoys me when people care. That's such a weird thing to say. And kind of hearkening back to my other video about insults, I think, when I said that your insults come from a personal place. They come from your own personal experience. I think I don't like when people start to care. People caring sort of rub me the wrong way because I care so much. And so I am attracted to the people who don't care because they are unlike me. And my over-caring kind of annoys me. And so when I see other people starting to care or get a little too personally invested in the situations, then I'm like, oh God. And that's not the case for everyone. There's certainly people I watch who care intensely, and that is entertaining in itself, especially if they're really going in and windmilling and stuff. But there are other people who present themselves as neutral and outsiders and stuff like that. And then when it starts to tip, when they tip into the caring zone, then I'm like, oh God, you presented yourself as one way and now you're something else. And now you're getting weird and personal about it. And this is, getting personal for you. I'm losing interest here. Oh my God. And when the neutral people start crying about stuff, and I'm not saying crying is bad, because I will not name names, but there was a recent video in which someone cried. I was crying right along with them. And I loved that they cried, because I thought that was a beautiful moment. So I'm not saying crying is bad, but when someone is presenting themselves as, I don't care, I'm too neutral, I don't give, I'm so unbothered, and then they start like weeping in the middle of a read, I'm like, oh boy. You lost